Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Deborah Roth. Very croaky right now from Spirited Living. I love these blossoming trees right now. However, I also just read that the tree pollen count is really high. And so I think it's all sitting in my throat right now. Nothing hurts, but I sound a little odd, or as one friend said today, you just sound really sexy. So perfectly appropriate for the lusty month of May and what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome, welcome. Yeah, this might not be as long. It depends on how long my voice holds out. But I've been playing with this. I mean, literally every year when we walk into the month of May, I start singing the Lusty Month of May from the musical Camelot. Hearing Julie Andrews' voice in my head, it's certainly been done several times since then. It's now, something like 45 years ago. I'll sing a very low version of the first stanza at the very end, and you'll see how perfect it is for this month that's all about to do with fertility and the birds and the bees and getting your whoopee on. And so that got me thinking very much about and wondering if there was what stories there were around Guinevere, Queen Guinevere, who was King Arthur's wife and bride. And I mean, I know the story through Camelot, I know that through the musical, I know the story through the wonderful books, Marion Zimmer Bradley, who wrote The Miss of Avalon and all sorts of prequels and sequels. So that's little glimpse of what we're going to be playing with today. I encourage you, please, to subscribe if you like what you see here today, to remember that even though I'm doing this at the very beginning of May, as we celebrate this month, that you can really tap into any of the energies of any of these Inner Goddess team members, any of these amazing archetypes, divinely feminine archetypes. You can tap into them all year round. You know, ask yourself what those qualities are. What is it that you want to embody and bring out more of, and then call on a particular goddess. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. And if you want to know more about that phrase that I use, and just assume everybody knows, the divine feminine, which is really the foundation of what we do here every week, talking about the qualities of the divine feminine, my apologies, and how they are embodied in these different faces of the goddesses from all around the world, and how we can make them present and in our lives. So please do comment and let me know. Oh, please let me know if there's any goddesses I haven't covered in the last almost 2 years. Would love to highlight them here. So Guinevere, she is kind of a complex. When I dove into learning more about her, and even she's the first fictional character that I've highlighted here, but she certainly embodies. If you subscribe to this, and I'll tell you where I found this, she really subscribes to a kind of feminist embodiment of some of these divinely feminine traits that we're going to talk about. When I was searching around to see if there was any connection to the work that we do here and that I love to introduce here to Guinevere, found an amazing article by someone named, where'd she go? Gianna Ward-Vetrano, and I will post the full article in the description on the YouTube on my YouTube channel, called "Some Feminist Musings on Guinevere." And in a nutshell, basically what she says is that Guinevere has been given a bad rap in all the different stories of her, very patriarchal, of course, except for the Miss of Avalon, where Marion Zimmer Bradley really takes a very gynocentric look at the story of Guinevere. Here's an image of her that I thought captures really most of what she's about, because this took place, or the story, the legend, takes place in the Middle Ages. and it just looked very May-like to me. So hopefully you'll relate to to her queenly looking self and embodying yourself as a May queen, or king, I guess, if there are any guys watching. So to very brief story, and I encourage you to, she's on Wikipedia. I encourage you to look up all these different tellings. The more patriarchal ones talk about the fact that Guinevere is it's an arranged marriage to meet King Arthur. There's most historians will acknowledge that this is fiction, that there might be some basis in fact and in history, but most of the story around this, Merlin the magician and Excalibur the sword that Arthur pulls from the stone that acknowledges him as king. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful legend, but most of it is not true. I'm not sure exactly what is, and acknowledging that, we can still draw really, I think, powerful information, archetypal and symbolic information from the story. So the basic story is that Guinevere is kidnapped by a bad guy who's called various things in various tellings. Maleagant is one of the names that he's called. And one version says that when Guinevere's champion back at the court of King Arthur, back when they were looked at celibate courtly love as a thing, when he finds out, he sets off to save her, and that completely freaks out Meleagant, and he begs forgiveness. When Lancelot appears in his rage, he wants to kill him. Instead, Guinevere says, "No, don't fight him, and then see what happens." So she's calculated, as opposed to this passionate fury that so the patriarchal version goes. This passionate fury that Lancelot was ready to, that's okay, and the fact that Maleagant was all set to rape her. In another version of it, he does rape her, and she takes that as, she's very Christian, and you see how Christian she comes across in the Mists of Avalon, and she thought, and then so she, again, this interpretation says that she feels that she has been betrayed by God, and therefore this deep connection that she has with Lancelot, she's going to go ahead and act on and commit adultery, because God doesn't care anyway, and so adultery doesn't matter. So all the way through this, she's given a bum rap. So what I loved about Gianna Ward-Vetrano's take on it is she says her thorniness, her moral courage, her refusal to give up what she wanted most, which was Lancelot, the sad fact of her infertility, that was a big deal in the Middle Ages, the fact that she was not pregnant by Arthur or really anybody else, her passionate love, and her unflinching tussles with duty, which, of course, women back then, and a year ago I talked about Julian of Norwich, who lived a little bit later, but women in the Middle Ages were chattel. They were not respected on any level. So to be able to look to seek the strength of Guinevere in that story is, I think, pretty powerful. So I encourage you to read, go in, read the longer article, see her take on it, and then let's see if there's anything else I want to know. I mean, I think just the fact that there are these different stories, but like so many stories, like so many of the goddesses that we look at here, when we're looking at our inner goddess team, when you read the pre-patriarchal version, or when you read into it in a deeper way, you find the strength, as opposed to, for instance, Hera, who is always cast aside by Zeus, and is often not, is looked at as this jealous, awful wife, instead of having power of her own. So I encourage you to look deeper into the story of Guinevere and to see, how is it that you tussle with duty, those areas in your life where or that you are expected to do something that you are rebelling about because it's out of integrity for you or it's unfair or whatever. Think about this idea of moral courage and call on Guinevere when you are, faced by times like that. So that's all I'm going to do. That's all I have the wherewithal to do. Although I'm going to attempt in a very low voice to sing, to see if you recognize this, to sing the very first stanza, and then I will read the words, and you will see how perfect Guinevere fits with May in this Lusty Month of May song. And I'll also include the link to Julie Andrews' version of this in my YouTube description. Tra-la, it's May, the lusty month of May, that lovely month when everyone goes blissfully astray. Tra-la, it's here, that shocking time of year, when tons of little wicked thoughts merrily appear. All I can do. It's May, that gorgeous holiday, when every maiden prays that her lad will be a cad. It's mad, it's gay, a libelous display, those dreary vows that everyone takes, everyone breaks, everyone makes divine mistakes in the lusty month of May. Whence this fragrance wafting through the air? What sweet feelings does it send transmute? Can't help it sings. Whence the perfume floating everywhere? Don't you know it's the dear forbidden fruit? Tra-la-la. And then they do some tra-la-la-las. It's May, the lusty month of May, that darling month when everyone throws self-control away. It's time to do a wretched thing or two and try to make each precious day one you'll always rue. You'll always regret. It's May, the month of yes you may. It's time for every frivolous whim, proper or im. It's wild, it's gay, a blot in every way. The birds and bees with all their vast amorous past gaze at the human race aghast. It's mad. And then the lovely month of May, yeah. And the rest of it is just kind of a repeat of what we said before. So that captures, I haven't gone into great detail this year. You can look at my Beltane May Day video from a year ago and learn more about what May Day and Beltane are about. But explore this. I invite you to really let yourself open up to that giddiness that May represents. I've got my bright, pink stuff on today, and think of ways that you can let that full-bodiedness, that frivolousness, along with Guinevere's moral courage and her ability to tussle with duty. Please let me know how you play with this, because she really is more of a complex creature than I think we all thought. Oh, Barbara, wonderful to see you here. So thank you all. I'll look forward to seeing you back here next week. Namaste.